I was about to go home before Sabbath starts, but I saw the DIA has this week the Warsaw Concerto, 75 years, 1944 to 2019, the Warsaw Uprising in music. Um, so they have some Hasidic Nagunim, klezmer music, maybe just the one song and some, music from Warsaw. So I thought I might stream a little bit of that. How's it going, my friend? Yeah, I miss me. My Palestinian friend comes to these concerts every week. Okay, so should be starting any minute. We'll ramble a few minutes. I was rambling about chess earlier, but cultural experience, the museum, great location. Enjoy streams here. So it looks like we got our musicians and like it's organized by a church in Bloomfield in Grosse Pointe, the Unitarian Church, and Temple Israel in West Bloomfield. And interesting, Temple Israel broke off from Temple Bethel. Temple Bethel was more, I would call them anti-Zionist, but they were reformed here in Detroit, in the 1800s, and you've been Orthodox and switched to Reform already like in the late 1800s. And that was the main congregation here in Metro Detroit. And then Temple Israel formed as a pro-Zionist reform movement. And so Temple Israel, which I believe is the largest synagogue in Metro Detroit, started out here in the museum, the Detroit Institute of Arts, for 10 years. After they broke off from Temple Bethel, they met for their Friday services here in the museum in a Reform way. So that's interesting. I think Temple Israel has like over 10,000 members. So of the like 75,000 Jews in Metro Detroit, so over 10% of the Jews in Metro Detroit are members of Temple Israel. And so interesting. You'll see a little of the history of the museum here. So we got quite a few Jewish volunteers here. I see, I volunteer for the chess, but various different factions, even though Albert Kahn was one of the original directors. So I guess this is 75 years from the Warsaw Uprising. And there's two Warsaw Uprising. There's the, I'm just going off of memory. I didn't have time to look it up, and I didn't actually even know that this concert was taking place. I just go here for the chess club, and I figured I'd check out what the concert was, and it turns out here's a big concert. There's a lot of people here. So there was the Polish uprising where the Poles revolted against Nazi occupation, and then there was the smaller Warsaw Ghetto uprising of the Jewish uprising. So the Warsaw Ghetto uprising is actually much smaller than the Warsaw, the Polish uprising, because obviously Jews made up quite a bit of Warsaw. They may have even been like 20% of Warsaw, but it was majority a Polish city, and that's the one point where generally the Nazis had a pretty easy time conquering Poland, but there was a uprising of Poles against the Nazis, and the Warsaw Uprising being the most famous. So 75 years ago, and so any minute should start concert here in the Rivero murals. And these murals actually predate the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. These murals were made, I believe, in 29. They were made during the Depression, like 29 or 1930. So 75 years to the uprising, but these murals here in Detroit actually go back about 90 years. So your history of the room, that Detroit was a thriving automotive capital. They have Albert Kahn, who was on the board of directors when these murals were made, actually went to Russia and made, he was part of like the 5-year Russian Tsarist reindustrialization of Poland. So Poland, I mean, of Russia, that Russia hadn't really been so industrialized, and so they hired Albert Kahn, who had been Henry Ford's architect, to design factories all over Russia. It was largely Kahn himself only went a few times. His son, architectural firm, did it, but actually quite a bit of the Russian war machine was made by in the factories that Albert Kahn had designed. So River Rouge right here that the Diego Rivera murals are representing was designed by Albert Kahn for Henry Ford. And just after that, River Rouge, one of the most famous industrial plants in the whole history of the world, so that the Russians recruited Albert Kahn to industrialize Russia for them. And part of that was crucial in the defeat of the Nazis, the German, and World War II. The fact that Russia was able to make tanks in the factories designed by Albert Kahn. So it's a little interesting to, okay, Pio, thanks for joining. Yeah, I was about to go home for Sabbath and I saw that they had this Warsaw Uprising 75-year anniversary concert, and it includes a little bit of Hasidic music. The second song is Hasidic, so I mentioned this is not the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, which was the Jewish revolt. This is the Warsaw Uprising, which was majority Polish revolt, and the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising of the Jews that was just in the Jewish ghetto in Warsaw is related but a smaller phenomenon to the larger Polish uprising. Just ramble here a few minutes. Rudy, our booking agent for the DIA, he books these concerts every Friday for years. Any talented musicians that would like to play this concert is the 75th anniversary. The Warsaw Uprising was after Germany had already occupied Poland, and Poland had officially surrendered, was under German occupation, and the Poles revolted in the city of Warsaw, one of the largest cities in Poland. I forget how many people died. You'd have to Wikipedia or look it up because I didn't have a chance to look it up before. I didn't even know this concert was going to be going on. So the Warsaw Uprising refers to a Polish citizen. You might have been some military police uprising against Nazi Germany occupation in 1944. Not to be confused with the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, which was just a Jewish rebellion against the Nazis. This was the Polish rebellion, so that was exactly 75 years ago. And so the DIA has a concert, so you can see the Polish and Israeli flag, and they should be starting any minute. Like, I coach chess downstairs in the main lobby, and they have concerts here every Friday, so there's a whole bunch of activities. And usually I just coach the chess, but occasionally I'll stick around for the concerts. So I happen to wander upstairs and see what's going on. I notice a few people in the lobby downstairs that I know, and so it turns out that they have a packed concert. Standing room now, all the seats are taken. They might even close it off, so pretty full. Concerts aren't generally this full, so pretty interesting. And they should be starting any minute. Looking forward. So I don't know if that man's the maitre d'. So I'd say this man here is the official booking agent, technician for the concerts here in this in the DIA. So he's been doing it for years. As long as I've been coming to the DIA, he's been the booking agent here, and all types of music of a different type, from like rock and roll, jazz. Okay, yeah, I'm losing reception here, so this should re-upload later, HD copy. So right now, this is just my recording on my cell phone, but I should be able to re-upload. 1 second.
We're very excited about this program. We've been planning this for a long time, and it's finally happening. So get started, I'd like to thank our sponsors, DC Energy Foundation. Please give a round of applause. And I'd like to thank all of you. These programs would not be possible. Friday Night Live, the Detroit Film Theater, the family programs would not be possible without your village investment in the DIA, so please give yourselves a round of applause. I'd like to ask you please to turn off your cell phones, as I'm going to do right now myself. And no flash photography during the performance. And join me in welcoming to the stage Joseph Pellizzolo.
So this is a capacity crowd, this is amazing. I would ask you if there are elderly people who need a seat, if you could please be so kind as to be cognizant of the people around you. So my name is Joseph Pellizzolo, and how did this concert come to be? Let me tell you how this started. I am the music director of Warsaw Unitarian Church, and for the past 5 years I've been doing an annual solo piano concert. And I always, the way I do these concerts is I choose a major work and I build it around that major work. Like a couple of years ago I did Uprising. And then in 2018, May of 2018, I said, okay, what's next after that concert? So I thought to myself, I've always wanted to learn the Warsaw Concerto. So that was the impetus for this concert. So I started working on this. It's a solo arrangement of the concerto because it's written for piano and orchestra. So as I'm working on this, I decided to go to my computer, and so I Googled significant anniversaries for 2019. Guess what popped up? The 75th anniversary of the Warsaw Uprising. It's a sign. So I went to the library and I learned all that I could about what happened at that time. I didn't learn this stuff in school. I was amazed at all these stories, harrowing and also heroic stories. So I decided to put together a script, which you're going to hear tonight, and to pepper it with music, which was played in Warsaw between the First and Second World Wars, and just to give you a flavor of what was going on in Warsaw at the time. Now you see the flags up here to my left. We have on the left you have the Polish national flag. In the middle you have the Polish resistance flag, and on the right the Israeli flag. Because Warsaw at the time was 1/3 Jewish. So I said, fantastic, we need to do klezmer music. So I said, I need a really good violinist. So, enter Sonia Lee. And Sonia Lee, wonderful violinist. Neither of us are Jewish, but we met through a synagogue. So this is how it worked. I'm on the list of pianists at Temple Israel in West Bloomfield. She's on the list of violinists. I call them up, I go, you got good klezmer violinists? And they just give me a list, So long story short, she saw what I was doing and she jumped at it. She says, yes, I'm available. And it's fantastic because you're going to enjoy this. Now, here to introduce the script to you, to start off the narration, is a friend of mine that I've known from Warsaw Unitarian Church for a long while. She has such a long history in acting. She's done, you're an equity actress? Yes. And she's done Meadowbrook and all that sort of thing. And she's married to a man who works for the Department of Justice. And they were in Ukraine. They moved back, and they're moving back to Ukraine again. So you get to see her now before she leaves across the pond. So I'd like to introduce to you Miriam Engstrom.
It was 1918. The bitter fight This minuet became his most famous music.
Jewish people living in Poland have a long and checkered history. Living there for centuries, they were alternately celebrated and persecuted. Known at times as a progressive haven for exiles, especially in the 16th and 17th centuries, Poland became the place to escape to, eventually making it the cultural and spiritual center of the Jewish people. They made inestimable contributions to the vibrant cultural and musical life of Poland. By the 1930s, Warsaw's population was 1/3 Jewish, 375,000. Only New York had more Jewish residents. Klezmer music is a quintessential sound for that Jewish relatives. It spread out of the Eastern European Ashkenazi tradition. Here to introduce Klezmer to you is violin virtuoso and former principal violin of the Toronto Symphony. She's appeared on America's Got Talent. Please welcome my friend and colleague, Sonia Lee.
most representation among the garden of righteous, among the garden of the righteous nations of Yahweh and Polish music, including waltzes, mazurkas, and polkas, were popular across the cultures.
Okay, yeah, it's getting late. Sun's almost down, so we gotta run out of here. Daylight saving time is coming, so Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We got our Nakamura will be coming soon to the museum for a chess sign. We'll look forward to that. So yeah, I wasn't expecting that concert. It was gonna take off, and then I saw they had this Warsaw Uprising concert, so I figure I'll stick around for it. A little interesting. I wouldn't mind staying for the whole thing or live streaming it, but yeah, but I'm not so much that into music anymore, chanting, but